My girlfriend demanded I meet her parents for dinner. She spent the entire evening insulting me in Italian, certain I couldn't understand a word. He's too stupid to figure it out, she laughed. After dinner, I thanked her parents in fluent Italian and carefully recounted every single lie she had told them. I had been dating Isabella for 7 months when she finally invited me to meet her parents. 7 months of dinners, movies, weekend getaways, of her meeting my friends, co-workers, and sister. Yet her parents had remained mysteriously off limits. Too busy, she always said. Not the right time. They're very traditional and need to warm up to the idea. Then one Tuesday afternoon, she sent me a text. Dinner at my parents' house Saturday, 6 o'clock. Dress nicely. No question mark, no real invitation. It felt more like a summons. They don't speak much English, she warned me Saturday evening as we drove through the golden hour light. She checked her makeup in the visor mirror, reapplying lipstick with practiced movements. Just smile and nod when they talk. I'll translate everything so you understand. It'll be fine. Sounds good, I replied, keeping my hand steady on the wheel as I followed her directions through an unfamiliar neighborhood. She squeezed my hand warmly. They're going to love you. I've told them so much about you. They're really excited to finally meet you. What did you tell them? I asked casually. Oh, you know, she laughed. That you're sweet, that you treat me well, that you have a job. She squeezed my hand again. They're very old-fashioned, so they care about stuff like that. Her parents lived in an older neighborhood filled with well-maintained homes from the 70s. Big yards stretched before mature trees, and her father's truck sat in the driveway, a newer Ford, clean and obviously well cared for. Garden beds lined the front of the house, bursting with tomato plants on stakes, fragrant basil, oregano, and thriving pepper plants. The moment we stepped inside, the house enveloped us in warmth. The air smelled of garlic, wine, and fresh bread, creating a homey atmosphere my sterile apartment could never replicate. Her mother came to the door immediately. She was a short woman, perhaps 5'2", with a round, warm face and gray hair pulled back neatly. An apron tied around her waist, she hugged me without hesitation before Isabella could even make introductions. She said something in rapid Italian, kissed both my cheeks, and held my face gently in her hands. Her father appeared behind her, a tall man with a solid build, gray hair, weathered face, and the hands of someone who had worked hard his entire life. His handshake was firm, his grip strong. He looked me up and down, sizing me up carefully, then nodded once. Short. Curt. We sat down in their small dining room. 4 chairs surrounded a table covered with a white lace tablecloth that looked handmade. Candles flickered, already lit. Photos covered every wall. Isabella as a baby, as a child, school pictures, family gatherings, and a faded wedding photo of her parents from what looked like the 70s. The food was already laid out when we took our seats. Homemade pasta, clearly fresh and not from any box. Warm bread still steaming from the oven. Red sauce simmered in a ceramic bowl with steam rising invitingly. Meatballs the size of tennis balls. A simple salad dressed with oil and vinegar. A bottle of red wine already open and breathing on the table. Isabella poured wine for everyone. Her mother said something, gesturing toward me with her wine glass and smiling warmly. Isabella smiled at me, touched my arm, then turned to her mother and responded in Italian. Yes, Mama. He has a good job. He makes enough. Works with computers. You don't need to worry about anything. She looked back at me and translated with a smile. She asked if you have a good job. I told her yes, you're doing really well. She worries about stuff like that. I nodded politely at her mother. Thank you so much for having me. This all looks absolutely amazing. I really appreciate you going to all this trouble. Isabella translated. Her mother beamed, reached across the table, and patted my hand. She said something else in Italian that made Isabella laugh. She says any friend of mine is family, Isabella translated. That's very kind, I said sincerely. Her father spoke then, his gruff voice delivering a short sentence while looking directly at me, studying my face carefully. Isabella laughed lightly, waved her hand, and responded. I told him you're smart, Dad, Even though sometimes you're a bit slow to understand things, but he's nice. She turned to me, still smiling. He said you seem like a nice guy, very polite. Good manners. I smiled at him. I really appreciate that, sir. I have a lot of respect for Isabella and for you both. She talks about you all the time. Isabella translated. Her father grunted, drank his wine, and didn't smile. The conversation continued like that for the first 20 minutes. Back and forth in Italian, with Isabella translating selected pieces for me, seemingly keeping me included and making sure I felt part of the conversation. I ate my pasta, complimented the food enthusiastically, and asked questions about the house, the neighborhood, and how long they had lived here. Isabella translated everything. Her parents responded warmly. Then her mother asked another question, longer this time, more animated, gesturing with her hands and looking between Isabella and me. Isabella's tone shifted subtly when she answered. Sharper, faster, less warm, more casual. He's not very ambitious, Mom. He's probably not going anywhere in life. Doesn't have big dreams, but he's nice and buys me things when I ask, so for now it's fine. She turned back to me with her smile perfectly in place. She asked if you're ambitious, if you have big career plans. I told her yes, absolutely. That you're very driven and have goals. I took a sip of wine. That's really kind of her to ask. I do have some things I'm working toward. Isabella nodded but didn't translate my response. She simply moved on. Her father leaned forward then and asked another question. Direct, looking right at me, his eyes sharp. Isabella waved her hand dismissively, casual, almost bored. He's too stupid to understand what we're saying, Dad. We can say whatever we want here. He doesn't know a single word of Italian. I asked him once and he said he never studied any languages. She looked at me, still smiling, warm, loving even. He asked if you understand Italian. I told him no, not at all. That you only speak English, that you've never really traveled much or studied languages. I reached for more bread and tore off a piece. Yeah, I really wish I'd learned a second language in school. I took Spanish for like 2 years but barely remember any of it. Maybe someday I'll take classes or something. Isabella laughed and patted my arm. Maybe I'll teach you some Italian. It's a beautiful language. I'd like that, I replied. Her mother said something then, a longer statement. Both she and Isabella laughed. Genuine laughter. Her father even cracked a slight smile, the first one I had seen from him. See, yes, Mom, it's true. Sometimes I wonder why I'm still with him, but he's easy to control. Doesn't ask questions, never complains, does what I tell him, and he's cute enough to bring around. Isabella smiled at me, warm and affectionate. She said you seem very respectful, well-mannered, that I picked a good one. I felt my chest tighten just slightly, barely noticeable, but I kept my face completely neutral. Thank you, I said to her mother. That means a lot to hear. The meal continued. More wine poured, more laughter, more rapid Italian that I supposedly couldn't understand. Isabella's father asked about my family. Isabella told him in Italian that my parents were divorced, that my father wasn't in the picture much, that my mother worked retail and struggled with money. He comes from a poor family, she said. To me, she said, he asked about your family. I told him they're great, very close-knit. Her mother asked if we were serious, if marriage was a possibility. Isabella actually laughed. No, Mom. He's not the type I'd marry. He's just for now. Something temporary until I find someone better, someone with a real career, ambition, money. To me, she said, she asked if we're serious. I told her we're taking things slow, one day at a time. I nodded. Drank more wine. Felt it burn going down. Her father asked what I did for work. Isabella told him I worked in information technology. Computer. Basic work, nothing special. Fixes computers. Doesn't make much. To me, she said, he's impressed. Says information technology is a good field. Her mother asked if I had gone to college. This is where it got worse. He dropped out, Isabella said, waving her hand dismissively. Wasn't smart enough to finish. Tried for 2 years, then quit. Now just does simple work. She turned to me. I told them you graduated, that you worked really hard. I felt something cold settle in my chest, but I kept my face calm and neutral. Thank you, I said quietly. The conversation continued like that for another 30 minutes. Isabella slowly dismantling me in Italian while building me up in English. Her parents' expressions changed gradually from welcoming to pitying, from interested to condescending. She told them I had borrowed money from her multiple times. More than $3,000, never paid me back, but what can I do? She told them I was boring in bed. Doesn't know what to do. It's like being with a virgin. She told them I had no ambition, no future, no prospects. She told them I was too stupid to realize she was using me. Her parents looked at me differently after each revelation. Pity filled her mother's eyes. Condescension settled on her father's face. They thought I was just sitting there oblivious, smiling like an idiot while their daughter systematically destroyed me. I let them think it. I stayed calm, ate my pasta, complimented the sauce in English, asked for seconds, laughed at appropriate moments even though I didn't understand what Isabella was translating. After dinner, her mother stood to clear the plates and started stacking them carefully. Isabella got up to help. I stood too and reached for my plate and Isabella's. Let me help. Her mother protested in Italian, shaking her head. No, no. You're our guest. I smiled at her, picked up the plates anyway, and then I spoke. Ma'am, I insist. In perfect Italian. The room went completely silent. Isabella's fork froze halfway to her mouth, a meatball still speared on it. Her face went completely pale, white, bloodless. Her mother stopped mid-motion, holding 2 plates in her hands, staring at me with her mouth slightly open. Her father's entire body went rigid, eyes locked on me. I smiled warmly at her mother and took the plates from her hands gently, setting them on the table. Dinner was delicious, ma'am. Absolutely delicious. Thank you so much for having us tonight. It's been a real honor to meet you both. Her mother's mouth opened. No sound came out. She looked at Isabella, then back at me, confused, hurt, betrayed. Her father stood slowly, his chair scraping against the floor. He crossed his arms over his chest, his face like stone. I turned to face all 3 of them, still holding the plates, still calm, my voice steady. I want to clear up some things Isabella told you tonight. Some lies she told. I spoke slowly, clearly, deliberately in the Italian my grandmother had taught me from the time I was 5 years old. The Italian I had spoken fluently my entire life. The Italian my mother had insisted I learn because it was part of our heritage. The Italian I had never mentioned to Isabella because she had never asked about my family, never asked about my background, never cared enough to know. I didn't drop out of college, I said, looking directly at her parents. I graduated with honors 3 years ago from the Polytechnic Institute. Computer engineering. I was second in my class. Isabella's mother's hand went to her mouth, her eyes wide. I work as a senior software developer for a technology company. I make $120,000 a year. More than double what Isabella makes. Her father's jaw clenched. He looked at Isabella. She was frozen, trembling. I continued, setting the plates down carefully and standing up straight. I've never borrowed money from your daughter. Not a single dollar. In fact, I pay for almost everything when we go out. Dinners, movie tickets, weekends away, vacations. She rarely reaches for her wallet. Her mother sat down slowly, looking at Isabella with an expression I couldn't quite read. Disappointment. Shame. My family isn't poor, I said. My mother owns 3 hair salons. My father is a lawyer, even though my parents are divorced. My grandmother, who taught me Italian, was from Naples. She died 2 years ago, but I promised her I would never forget the language. Isabella's hands were shaking now, her wine glass rattling against the table. Her eyes filled with tears. Not sad tears. Panicked tears. Caught tears. And I'm not stupid, I said quietly, my voice still calm but with an edge now. I've spoken Italian fluently since I was 8 years old. I understood every single word that was said here tonight. Every insult, every lie, Every cruel thing Isabella said, believing I didn't understand. Her father spoke then. One word, cold as ice. Isabella. She started talking immediately, fast, desperate, in English. To me, not to her parents. I was joking. It was all jokes. They know I was joking. It's just how we talk in Italian. It's different. The tone is different. You're misunderstanding. I wasn't misunderstanding anything, I said calmly. I turned back to her parents. Her mother was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. Her father looked disgusted, ashamed. I'm deeply sorry you had to find out this way, I said to them. You deserve to know what kind of person your daughter has become. But you needed to hear it from her, not from me. I walked to the door and grabbed my jacket from the hook in the entryway. Isabella jumped up, her chair falling backward. Wait, please. I didn't mean any of it. They don't understand. They're taking it the wrong way. I stopped and turned to look at her one last time. You said I was temporary, that I was stupid, that you were waiting for someone better. You were right about one thing. I was temporary, but not for the reasons you thought. Her parents were standing now, her mother still crying, her father's arm around her shoulders. Both of them stared at Isabella like they didn't recognize her, like she was a stranger wearing their daughter's face. I opened the door. Cool evening air rushed in. Good evening, I said to her parents. I'm sorry. You deserved better than this. I walked out and closed the door softly behind me. I heard Isabella start crying inside, loud, ugly crying. Her mother's voice came sharp and angry. Her father's deeper voice sounded cold. I got in my car, started the engine, and pulled out of the driveway. My phone started buzzing before I had even reached the end of their street. Isabella calling. I watched it light up and let it ring. It went to voicemail. It rang again and again. 11 calls in the first 10 minutes. Then the text started. 17 in rapid succession. Please come back. I can explain everything. They're screaming at me. You ruined my life. How could you do this to me? You set me up. This is all your fault. They're so mad at me. My dad won't even look at me. Please answer. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Please. I blocked her number at the first red light. Deleted her contact. Deleted our text history. Deleted every photo of her from my phone. I drove home in complete silence. No music, no radio, just the sound of the engine and my own breathing. I got home, went inside, sat on my couch in the dark, and felt absolutely nothing. The next morning, Isabella showed up at my apartment. 8 o'clock, pounding on the door. I watched through the peephole. She looked terrible. Yesterday's makeup smeared across her face, hair a mess, same clothes. Please, I know you're in there. We need to talk. I didn't answer. I just waited. She pounded for 10 minutes, then left. She tried calling from different numbers, her friends' phones. I blocked them all. She sent emails. I filtered them to spam. 2 weeks later, I ran into one of her co-workers at a coffee shop. She recognized me immediately. You're Isabella's ex, right? Right, I confirmed. Did you really understand Italian the whole time? Word had spread, apparently. Yes, I said. She smiled. Not malicious, just satisfied. Good. She needed that. She's been impossible to work with for months. Talks down to everyone. Always complaining about how she deserves better. Better job, better apartment, better boyfriend. She paused. Better everything. Sounds about right, I said. She told everyone you were a loser who didn't understand what she was saying at her parents' house. That you embarrassed her. I just nodded, took my coffee, and walked out. I never saw Isabella again, but my phone lit up one more time. 6 months later. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello. Hello. This is Maria, Isabella's mother. I sat up straighter. Mrs. Bellini. Hello. I wanted to call to apologize for that night, for not seeing, for not knowing. Her English was heavily accented but clear. My husband and I, we raised her better. We don't know where we went wrong. You didn't do anything wrong, I said. We did. We must have. She paused. She is not welcome in our home anymore. Not until she changes. Really changes. Becomes the person we thought we raised. I'm sorry to hear that, I said. Don't be. You did us a favor. Showed us the truth. Another pause. Your grandmother would be proud of your Italian. Of your character. My throat tightened. Thank you. Take care of yourself, she said. You too, I replied. She hung up. I deleted that call too and moved on.